Welcome to the Scrumptious Woman. I have with me the incredible Mistress Malissia. Welcome to the Scrumptious Woman Podcast. We're doing this take number 2 because the first time the transmission was apparently too potent that actually the recording didn't save in a proper way. So welcome to doing this again.
Thank you. I'm excited to speak with you again.
I know we know where we went last time, but I've got no idea anymore because that feels like a long time ago. Now, I loved seeing your journey. I think you posted something on one of the groups that we're in together talking about you as a professional dominatrix and having a baby. And since then, that whole journey has completely changed. Tell my listeners about this a little bit, what it means to be a mother and a dominatrix and teaching other women.
Yes. So actually, I was never a mother while being a dominatrix.
Oh, good one.
A dominatrix prior to being a mother. And when I got pregnant is when I used this opportunity as a way out of the industry.
Beautiful.
And it wasn't something I had planned, but I was in a place in my career where I felt like I was reaching a glass ceiling. I was very successful. I was living a very comfortable life, and I did not feel challenged anymore. And I'm someone that seeks a lot of stimulation. And it really felt like a craft I mastered and got very good at. And prior to becoming pregnant for 2 years, I had women asking me for trainings and mentoring, and I was not ready to offer that. And one day there was this woman that every few months would come and ask me. And I told her, look, I have only worked in this field for 5 years. So I'm not really the person that can mentor. There's this woman and this woman that you can go see, and they have trainings and academies. And I'm inspired by you because of what you built in just 5 years. Your brand speaks to me. Theirs feels outdated. It doesn't feel aligned. It feels like maybe they have more experience, but when I look up to them, I don't see myself. And I see myself in what you're doing. And she almost convinced me. So I chose to do a 101 class, Femdom BDSM 101 as a trial. And it was something I wanted to host in person because I had my dungeon in Montreal and we have a big community of very open-minded people. And I had a big community. So I thought, let me just host something in person in my space and show a few things. And it sold out within 2 hours. And I have obviously limited spaces because it's at home. So then I did it to online. And once again, it was incredible. And that kind of gave me the nudge of, wow, I'm really good at teaching and transferring the knowledge, let's say it like that, because there's the embodiment of the knowledge, but then being able to speak it, finding the language, understanding how people can, it's like pedagogy. And my mom's a teacher. So I felt like that is something that I embodied well, but then the demand started rising. And it's only when I got pregnant that I actually fully stepped into mentoring by founding the Dominatrix Academy. And that was my big program that trains you from the ground up to become a dominatrix, a high-level dominatrix, because a lot of the program is personal development. Because to me, it's a lot of work on yourself and who you become as a woman through this work, more than just learning the skills in the dungeon and the equipment, but actually understanding the psychology, the art, and understanding yourself and your evolution through this and who you are as a woman and your desires. And my journey taught me that. I completely changed through this experience, through these years. I call it the mistress journey, a little bit like the hero's journey.
Love it. The mistress journey. Yes.
Yes.
And exactly. It really is, right? Because by stepping into that dom, queenness, whatever, the mistress life, you really unveil a lot of your own parts and you really reclaim a lot of parts that your life may have lost. And I know that's something that you teach as well.
Yes, it's really, as you said, a reclamation of our power more than like finding your power. It's like it's always been there. Now you learn to own it and play with it. So I thought the academy would be a one round thing. I'm pregnant, I'm going to give birth, move out of this. So I started teaching. I was 6-7 months pregnant, and it was a 2-month experience. And then I was ready to let that go. But then the demand only rose higher. And people are like, when's the next one? When's the next one? And I thought, okay, I just gave birth 3 weeks ago and I'm leaving Canada to move to South Africa with my baby. I have to sell everything. So let me do this one last round and then everyone can buy my equipment because it's not something you can just easily find. It's all custom made.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me host it in my place again. But it ended up being both first and second round, an in-person and online simultaneous experience. One day of the
week. I love it. Everything.
Yeah, it was like the people in person, the people online, one day of the week, one group, one day of the week, another group. I recorded everything because I'm like, that will be useful one day. I even have the embodiment practices of training the women while I'm like pregnant, teaching them how to use the equipment. That is all filmed and part of the academy. And it became this big thing that people were just like wanting more and more. So now this year, 2025, is actually the last live round I'm doing of the academy. And it's been an incredible journey of mentoring that I felt very much invited into. And I felt a sense of responsibility for giving back and for teaching, especially in the way it absolutely changed my life in the best way. So to really come from this place of personal power and not performing your power, that is where it all started for me.
I love it. So I know that last time we talked about this a little bit, and thank you for correcting me, is that you stepped out of being a dominatrix when you became pregnant because you didn't want this fetishizer, which it's one of the kinks, right? It happens in BDSM. People like that. And I understand that you didn't want that, have that energy transferred to your unborn child.
Yeah, I didn't want to be fetishized for my pregnancy. It was a personal choice. So it's the kind of thing you can't hide. Either you use it or you don't do it.
And your figure is so beautiful, and then that bump is going to show.
Yeah, you can't hide
it. Man, it's such a beautiful decision for you. Like, okay, that doesn't work for me now. What can I step into even more? So that's the path that you took, the Mistress Academy. Now it's going to be an online evergreen. Can people still purchase it? How does that work?
Now, for those that want to still do the program, it will be a self-paced program, but it will be connected to my membership/community, which is a portal that holds all the educational content I ever created that is for DOMs. And that community is for mistresses from all over the world. The community is free. And then you have a membership to access all the classes and trainings and guest speakers. And the academy is going to be affiliated with that. So they will still have access to me and the community and ask questions and have extra classes that kind of are like, if you have a big meal, you have the meal on the side, like a side dish that just accompanies the main meal. All the classes that we do in DOM space, the membership, are classes where we go deeper into very specific subjects.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So tell me, last time I know we spoke about this a little bit. Who were the people that came to you? Are they really like people that want to step into becoming a professional dominatrix? Or is it also like housewives, people that have a career, but just want a bit more power, they might be shy in their everyday life and they take their doctor coats off and then they step into the Dom archetype?
Yes, that's a great question.
I love the way you smile. You just lit up there. It's like, oh.
Yes. So surprisingly, it attracted also a lot of women who didn't seek being in the sex work industry. But I had an application process and it's very tailored to those that want to work in the industry.
Okay.
So I don't speak about play partners or submissives. I speak about clients being submissives. So the language and the analogies and the experience is really based on being in the industry because there's a very big aspect to it that is business. Like when you enter this industry, you become an entrepreneur. And then that's like your startup in some way. And that's the part that a lot of people don't realize when they enter the industry, is that they're starting a new business and that they have to completely be in charge of so many things beyond how they show up during the session. So the academy was built for professional DOMs, but alternatively, I built a program that came to me in this most divine way. And when I created it, I was in flow. I couldn't stop writing for 7 hours. I was just like, it was coming to me. And that program was like the experience of becoming your mistress identity and embodying your mistress self, which has nothing to do with the professional business side of things and the sex work industry, but really about you as a woman. And that then was what I was offering these other women that were not seeking to enter the sex work industry. And it became like, it's the thing that I love them. It's my favorite program. And now I'm reworking it. And every time I redo it, it's the kind of thing that gets better and better because I change, I evolve, and I learn new things. So that's the thing that is going to keep evolving. And Dominatrix Academy is going to be a self-paced program because I'm shifting away from the sex work industry. Now I love working with the women in this industry, but it just feels like I'm called to also serve women outside of that industry.
And it's so beautiful, right? Because there's such a fine line. Like, I've used my dominatrix work much more for healing. And I know we talked about this last time, where for me, I work with a lot of people that have had sexual trauma. I had sexual trauma and I've had sexual trauma, and I didn't remember it until I got flogged in a BDSM class. And I was like, whoa, and my whole body started shaking. So recognizing that I needed to, and then I remembered everything and it came flooding back and the body just knew what to do. But I went back to London from San Francisco and I found a dom and I reenacted this with 5 men and I gave it a different ending. And that was the start of my dominatrix experience. He then dom trained me, and the people that I attracted were usually women who've had some kind of sexual trauma and that couldn't reach those ecstatic states where everything becomes possible, right? Where some people call it orgasm, so some people call it chi, whatever. And that we also get with flogging or with impact play or even with psychological play, BDSM. We can reach those states where we can tap into that oneness. And that's how I really helped people. So instead of stepping into the identities, we pulled all of them away, or they just fell away and they stepped into their oneness. And I love the idea of people who were very insecure about BDSM. Like, why would we want to use this? Who are, say, mothers or anyone just having a normal, I wouldn't even call it normal because who's normal, who's not, right? But a different kind of job, but thinking like, hey, there's something for me there. I feel it. And this is how I step into all parts of myself.
Yes. And it can be so healing because it connects the mind with the somatic in the moment. That's what I like. To me, it never was the end goal, the healing. I didn't go in this industry for that, and I wasn't seeking to become a healer. But I've noticed that this became the result of certain sessions, like something unexpected, almost, oh, we did this, and it ended up like a bonus or a byproduct of what we created. And it's where I saw how much it can be healing and how much power and influence I have to provide that. And healing is one approach to go through it. But I think when you are positioning yourself as a coach and a healer, it's very different than being part of the sex work industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You attract very different people because those that come to the sex workers, they don't want healing, even if that's what becomes the result.
No, but isn't it funny? We have the two extremes, and yet they find a lot of the same results.
I see it like attracting them with something they want and leaving them with something they needed.
Isn't it funny? But don't we always think that we're stepping into something because we need it, but we come back away from it, having gained something completely different.
Yes.
It sounds like life to me.
I think BDSM is a good analogy of how we are in life. Because a lot of how we are in our intimacy behind closed doors when no one sees us is actually who we really are. And sometimes I wondered through my practice if the identities we embodied during play aren't those more of who we are than who we play in public to be accepted and socialized as acceptable.
I love this. And those are such beautiful questions, right? Because where have we trained ourselves, or have we become trained by our parents, by our society, that we have to respond in a certain way or step into the archetype as good woman, good wife, good mother, good this, good that.
Definitely.
And then when you go into the bedroom or step into your dungeon, all of a sudden you step into this powerful, or even just change of dress or like change of makeup. How are all these identities, how can we shed them and become like a shapeshifter that we can have all parts of them?
Exactly. I say always the mistress is not a role you play, but an extension of who you are, the version of yourself you give permission to speak what she desires, to ask for what she wants unapologetically. It's really about permission. Okay, in this context, I have someone that wants me to ask for what I want. I have someone who begs me to be more of me and to be more like in charge or whatever. So there's this permission to like, I don't need to feel bad for asking them to bring me water. No, I'm going to ask them to bring me water, and I'm going to ask them to do it on their knees. And we're going to play it out in a way that's almost not extreme, but very playfully theatrical, to almost make it seem so vastly unrealistic that we get to fully play out what lives within us. And once we've experienced that, it unlocks something in us that we bring out of play.
Completely. And I love that you call it play, because honestly, it is. Do we play at life? Is it the Matrix? Is it the blue or the red pill? So we completely do play it live. So recognizing that, stepping into BDSM, yes, I would say as a dominatrix or as a dom, you do have a responsibility. And that is yourself, the client, the however you want to call it, in front of you. So I know that you're massively good in what you do and how you've taught everyone to read the body signals, to notice where the breath catches. And this is, I think, the bit where in play parties and in the scene in London, I've had to pull people off each other because they're hitting the kidneys and they're going too far. They're not checking in. There's been no container set before. I just think those are the things that give BDSM a bad name.
A bad reputation. Yes. Yeah. It's really a lack of knowledge of even what I find the most problematic is people who just assume it's just, I'm just going to use this story without really seeing the impact of the impact toy. And to go with it from a place of, it's not going to harm anyone, but it can be very harmful to play psychologically, emotionally as well, and physically with the BDSM. So that's why it's so important to be trained.
And I love that you have trained your mistresses that really want to go into this as a job, and then now also are taking it outside of that and really bringing it into other woman. And I think you're about to explore something else, really bring it more into the coaching and maybe even business world. What are your next steps?
My next steps are not so much into the coaching. My expertise is in creating experiences, and experiences that are very much about doing things in the world beyond sitting and learning, and events. So I host events in person, and my experiences online are often like an event, the way they're built. So I'm moving more towards this and fashion.
Oh, nice. Tell me more about the fashion bit. I completely understand, right? So people, we're out of the COVID area. So people do want to have events. They want to go to these 1 day, 2 days, maybe retreat type events where they learn, but they don't just learn by head, but they embody it.
Embodiment.
Actually recognize it. Okay, it's a code that you carry, you understand it because by doing it, by being in your atmosphere, I'm sure you create the most beautiful layout and have it all, you have everything in there so that it becomes an experience and it's like they can go back and remember that and it's in their body. They just walk like that, they talk like that, they behave, they are that. And
Absolutely.
then the fashion bit, say more about that.
It's all interconnected in the sense that when I create these experiences, I often address things as how you appear, how you present, your image, because I noticed in my career how my style and the way I present and show my image, how much it influenced my business and how I feel my femininity. And I used to be the most tomboy person you can think of.
I love it.
Like I used to have very short hair, not wear any makeup. The first time I wore heels was actually when I started entering this industry. And I was completely disconnected from my feminine because it felt unsafe. And that's something I realized only in hindsight, because for the longest time, it felt just, I'm one of the boys. But why was that? Is because if I'm one of the boys, then I'm not a target, then I'm not a prey. And when I became a mistress, I really learned about what my version of the feminine looks like, how I feel empowered my feminine, and not through what I was taught or what I was seeing that it should look like. And that didn't resonate with me. And it just shifted completely how I view myself, feel about myself, and I feel more powerful than I've ever felt in my life, in my feminine, more than I've ever felt hiding my feminine. And instead, it's like the kind of thing where you look down from someone kind of staring at you, and that penetrative, intrusive gaze makes you feel so uncomfortable as a woman, and it feels unsafe. And you look down in discomfort, to shifting to holding the gaze, directing the gaze, controlling the person with your mind. And that has a lot to do with how you present, how you feel, how you cultivate that relationship with yourself intimately. And it's all related to pleasure. And I find a lot of pleasure in dressing up. I find a lot of pleasure in getting dressed and choosing like what to wear. And in my environment, like I'm really into design and curating spaces and wardrobes and outfits and all these things I carry from my mother. So that's a part of me I was completely disconnected from. But then I look at photos from my childhood and memories, and I'm like, I always had that. But at some point, something happened. Bad things happen to women who are too out there, too loud, too promiscuous. And I used to be very reckless and careless and self-destructive when I was young. And I did not realize that I was putting myself in very dangerous situations. And eventually that influenced how unsafe I felt in my body, which led me to be completely disconnected from my feminine. And now that reclamation that happened through the mistress journey allowed me to really see the power in developing yourself and how you express yourself, which ultimately that expression is physically how you present, how you live, how you like the things even that you buy, the things you eat, things you like surround yourself with. It's like your environment. It's in the mirror and
use all
fashion.
the senses. Yeah.
Yes. And fashion is just something I'm deeply passionate about. And the Dominatrix attire has inspired a lot of that in me. And I think it also is vice versa. I was very attracted to the Dominatrix image because I was very attracted to her outfits, like leather, latex, corsets, heels. That's like feminine allure that is also very strong, not like girly, but more like standing in her power.
Yeah, and it's me.
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot of fashion designers like Thierry Mugler that just so I already have a collection that I'm planning. Like I already have exactly the first 5 products I want to create. It's something that will take time and I'm not rushed to do it. I already have the name of the brand. I have everything laid out. There's going to be a magazine and all of that has been in the making behind the scenes. But now I feel ready to move into it while also continuing to create experiences about women experiencing their power through the mistress energetics.
Beautiful. Oh my God, there's so much there. Because if you step back into Madonna, when she was very much inspired by the dominatrix archetype, we've had this all through history where people have really stepped into it. Who's someone that inspired you? If you look back now, is there like Edita Montis or I see a little bit similarities to you with her? Did you ever have someone, you said your mother did all of this, but did you have, as you were growing up, did you have someone in their 50s, 60s or so that you're like, oh, she really embodies that feminine, yet strong feminine that I like? Or not so much?
So there is one person that comes to mind. I wouldn't say she necessarily inspired me in terms of the woman she is, but her wardrobe inspired me since I was a child. And it still is very much something that influences my style. And like I'm thinking of her now and I'm like, I really don't resonate with the person, but completely with the style, which is a style that I think a lot of women would be like, yeah, of course, her style. And it's Cruella de Vil. But the first movie, like the first one, not the recent one with Glenn Close.
Yeah,
and I remember when
Glenn Close was amazing in that, wasn't she? Yeah.
And I remember seeing this movie and I couldn't stop watching. And I was drawing and playing with outfits like that. These movies, that woman, like the wardrobe, I've always been so inspired. So she's like the main inspiration in terms of this. And in terms of a woman that I looked up to and felt very, wow, like for me, Xena was one of those women.
Yeah.
It's not a real person, it's a character, but that warrior goddess. And I had identified with her a lot when I was young. And eventually I felt like identifying with someone that's a warrior eventually attracts a lot of reasons to fight. And I've always been in that fight mode. Like, okay, I have to fight against patriarchy. I have to fight against this. I want to destigmatize kink. There was always like something that I need to fight for or against. And now I'm like, I don't want to be a fighter. I don't want to be a warrior. This is not an energy that attracts me anymore. Dita Von Teese is someone I think that is very appealing. She has a very different energy than me. She's way more in her goddess than her boss.
Very.
Yeah, but
physically, I think, there's some similarities. I could see, I think red nails, I can see something.
But if you see my mother, she's like that. She has long black hair, always wore red lipstick and red nails.
Gorgeous.
Like you see her, it's like, this is, I understand. Dita Von Teese, it's true. She also has a lot of that. But I take that a lot from my mother. And also the desire for fashion. My mom always was sewing our clothes, making outfits for our dolls. She dresses in a way that you think she's going to like the Met Gala and she's going to her class. And I'm teaching my students because I have a date with them. And when I show up in class, I'm like showing up on stage. She would wear those hats with the gloves, with the dresses, all fuchsia, with like heels, the same color and pearls. And I remember when I was a kid, I felt a little embarrassed when she would come pick us up from school because I'm like, you're so extra. And now I'm like, this is amazing. She's just extraordinary. I should have been more proud of that than ashamed of that. And now I completely see it in a different way. So this was what I think I integrated from her. I think in another life, she was a fashion designer.
Beautiful. And now you're actually teaching women to be that extra, right? And to command that attention. So it's like, often the bits, the shadows that were like, ugh, that's where we learn from. That's what we step into.
Yes.
I love it. Malissia, tell me, how do people get in touch with you? They're like, okay, I want more.
Right now, I have my website, mistressmindset.com. It's like things are shifting. we are in a moment of liminal space. So right now, the best way is through Instagram.
Okay.
And I have a personal account, which is Malissia_private. This is my new account. And it's going to be in the next month or two, a lot of things are going to shift on that account. Now it's all being built slowly behind the scenes, but that is where things are going to explode. I have a new website being built. So Malissia_private is the account to connect with me through.
Excellent. Everything will be in the show notes and they will be updated as soon as your website gets updated. You let me know. In the meantime, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real delight.
Yes, thank you so much. I love speaking with you.
Thank you.